just a few years into my marriage, and I was really struggling. My wife and I were constantly fighting about anything and everything. So we decided to get some counseling from a pastor. I came with my boatload of complaints about my wife and all the things that she was doing that made my life difficult. And you know what the pastor told me? He said, if I want to fix my marriage, I have to fix my relationship with God first. I have to do the inner work, and then everything else will become a lot easier. And I remember walking away from that meeting thinking, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, but I had nothing to lose. So I tried it. I tried working on myself, and so did my wife. Not on myself, but on herself. And as we separately began to work on ourselves and our relationship with God, our marriage got better. It was amazing. It was the number one thing that helped me work on my marriage was actually not working on it at all. It was doing the inner work. And then the outer work, our relationship, was a lot easier to manage. Welcome to the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sgt Q, and with me, as always, Doc Jess.
Welcome. Hi. Thanks for being here.
Jess, you counsel a lot of people in a lot of different areas, but you love to counsel people with their marriages.
I don't love to. I have been called to.
She loves it, okay? You guys don't hear the conversations before the show. She loves what she does. It is difficult, and it is where God called you. But there has to be some level of love for it when you watch couples who are at each other come together.
Yeah.
So
There is a love for that.
What's the number one thing you want people to know when they go into one of your seminars?
The one thing I want people to know when they come into one of the marriage seminars that I host is it's in our innate nature to come with our list wanting our spouse to be fixed. Every single person has a little bit of this innate nature. And so at our marriage seminars, we begin the seminar separate. Husbands with husbands, wives with wives, so that we can set the tone. Today is for you. Today is to look inward. Today is for you to build self-evaluation and learn how to work on yourself first, because that's where true foundational change comes from.
Yeah, and I've lived that experience. I mean, you teach it. I mean, I know it from just walking through it and living that, what you just talked about. But you actually know the nuts and bolts. But you didn't just magically know this stuff. Tell me, how did you get there?
Well, there's a lot of ways that I got there. I do have a failed marriage. I call it my army marriage. And I was married for 4 years immediately after coming home from Iraq. And the dysfunction between the two of us with our PTSD, we both met in Iraq. We both saw a lot of things, lost a lot of friends, and came home married 2 weeks after getting back. Of course, all your debriefings say don't make any major life decisions for at least 6 months. So I had a failed marriage, a very dysfunctional, toxic marriage that I learned through a lot. And then the Lord gave me a second chance at marriage, and I got a second chance at marriage. And I found along the way, as I then entered into the profession of becoming a marriage counselor, that a lot of the things that I was trying to teach my couples, I was noticing in my own life, in my own self, and remembering I'm also a person that needs to take this advice. So that's where the heart of the marriage seminar that my husband and I created came from, because we had tried other marriage seminars, and I did notice that they could potentially, and a lot of the times did, make things worse than better. So maybe you haven't had an army marriage or a second marriage or even that toxic or dysfunctional of a marriage, but I do know that 99.9% of you out there have had different seasons in your marriage where you've struggled.
You know, I've been married a long time now, in almost 18 years, and I still have those ups and downs. I went to your marriage seminar not too long ago, and Holly and I do irregular marriage counseling with Dr. Gold, who's fantastic. Shout out to Dr. Gold. She's amazing. And if you guys want her information, we both have no problem connecting with her. She's awesome. So we do that as maintenance.
Yeah.
So that way these small problems don't become large ones.
Yeah.
And every single time I walk away thinking, why am I doing this? This is so hard. And then I actually do what she tells me to do. I'm like, oh, it wasn't that hard.
Wasn't that hard?
It seems like it in the beginning.
I fixed everything.
It's usually something I'm doing wrong.
No.
So
She makes us all feel that way.
I
Don't
know.
worry.
I know that's the great part of it, right? We both walk away thinking, man, I really got to work on this. So, okay, so Jess, with this, what's the solution here? How do we navigate this?
I believe the solution comes first and foremost from self-reflection, looking inwardly and figuring out, where can I grow? How can I grow? How can I be the best spouse I can be? And secondly, I believe there's so much great research out there with the right counselor, with the right professional to guide you where you need to go and what you need to do is an incredible tool to use to help navigate through some of the areas in your marriage that you might not know the answers to. Statistically, per the Gottman research, couples that stay together and happy turn towards each other 86% of the time. What that means, when your partner gives you a bid for affection or attention, you turn towards that attention or affection instead of deny it or ignore it or reject it.
What's one thing that you would teach, and then maybe a tool that we could give the people? So what's one thing that you teach?
Yeah, one important thing that I teach in the seminar is how your brain works and how it's in our innate nature to protect ourselves instinctively from pain, discomfort, or getting hurt. And so even though your spouse has absolutely done something to hurt you in the past, multiple things to hurt you in the past because they're human, our brain connects that to a subconscious list that we don't even realize that we have. And then something reminds us of that and we pull from that list and we assume without realizing it, they're doing it again. And that self-evaluation, where's my list? Where is it coming from? And how can I enter every situation without that list to give my spouse the benefit of the doubt, right? Because everybody loves 1 Corinthians 13. Love, what love is. And there's one, the translation I love is the last one says, love hopes for the best. And so I have to constantly remind myself, hope for the best. But I noticed instinctively, my flesh is always expecting the worst because it's trying to protect me from discomfort, pain, or getting hurt. And so this was one of the things that I teach is it doesn't mean you have a bad character. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't even mean you're a bad spouse. It means that your brain is doing what it's wired to do to protect you from being hurt. And we all struggle with that. So the more you know what makes you hurt or what's hurt you in the past can help you prepare to not jump into those assumptions or fall to that protective mode every single time there's potential conflict.
Yeah, one of the things that I was told a long time ago is assume best intentions. And so that's easy to say. It's hard to remember in the moment. And so my wife and I, we remind each other of that. Like, oh, when you see somebody getting bristly at something we said, assume best intentions. And you're like, oh, that's right. My wife isn't here to try and hurt me, even though it feels like that. So I have to assume best intentions. Because a lot of times we will put our thoughts and feelings on whatever that person said. We will assume that's what they meant or that's what they said, because we will paint that. We will look at that through the lens, the trauma lens that we have on.
Yeah.
And I talk about that a lot. If you guys don't understand the trauma lens, go back a few episodes. I talk a lot about the lens of trauma and the Hubble telescope. I got a whole story for it. But we do that. We paint their words or actions in the color of our trauma, and that's what we see.
Yeah, in the color of our pain.
Yep.
Because we're trying to avoid getting hurt again. And that's totally understandable, right? But the idea of coming to a seminar where, all I have to do is think about myself and what I'm doing wrong can sound daunting. And it's not really. It's taking accountability, yes, but also understanding the process of what got you to where you are so that you can know and have that GPS kind of navigation of how to get to the new destination that you're trying to get to.
One thing we used to do a lot, Jess, is we used to do these like mock therapy sessions. You remember that? Oh, it was always the training dummy. But what is like a tool or exercise? Just give me an example, one that you would use in your group that we could, in your seminar, that we could share with them right now, where they could just learn something very small, very quick that they could use right now today. What does that look like?
One tool that I love to use in my own life and I love to share with other people is my 24, 48, 72 hour tool. And what this means is you have every day is 24 hours, right? And so and this is great for marriage, but it's also great for most relationships because we live in a society where we're very easily offended, okay? And relationships can be hard. So the 24, 48, 72 looks like this. If I'm offended, if I'm hurt, if something has pricked me and it's still on that forefront of my mind or it's still coming up, I'm still ruminating on it 24 hours later, that's my first check. Okay, it's been 24 hours. This is still bothering me. There's some merit to it. Then I spend the next 24 hours, so from 24 to 48 hours, asking God to examine my heart and reveal to me if there's something in me, because a lot of the times we get offended because something was actually true. Or reveal my spouse's heart or character in what that situation was, because there's probably more to the story. Whatever it is, Lord, these 24 hours I'm going to spend genuinely being open to your insight, whether this is something you want me to bring to the table or something in me that you're just trying to weed out or work through. So then I get to the 48 hours and it's still really bothering me. And I know that I've done my due diligence in searching my heart and allowing God to search my heart. But sometimes in marriage, we are there to help encourage and correct one another. Okay. And so at this point, I say, okay, Lord, I've done my due diligence. I'm going to spend the next 24 hours, so up to 72 hours, allowing you to prepare my heart to bring it to my spouse in a loving, compassionate, and caring way. Because sometimes what happens in the 24 to 48 hour zone is my husband will come back to me and say, oh my gosh, the other day when I said this, I've been thinking about it. And that's how I used to respond to you. And I'm trying to work on that. And I'm like, look at God. Right? Like I don't even have to say anything. And it gives him an opportunity to come make things right, which happens. It does happen.
It's right what I was saying, where my pastor years ago said, build your relationship with God and then your relationship with your wife will fix itself.
Yeah.
And it really, really did.
Yeah. And so, another thing that can happen during that time is, yes, the Lord can reveal something in you, like you were offended because it was true. And this is something you need to work on. And I say, okay, this is something I'm going to work on. Or more of the story will be revealed. Like my husband will open up to me and say, I had such a hard day that day. These guys came in and we debated about this. And then I can have a little more compassion for him because I knew he was really under attack. So a lot of things can happen in that 24 to 48 hour zone. If that doesn't, and God is like, yep, this is something I want you to bring up to your husband because you're his helpmate, do it in a loving and compassionate way. Then after the 72 hours, I know I have 100% done my due diligence. I'm not reacting out of my flesh. I'm not reacting out of just a quick offense. I'm responding out of love to help build what we're trying to build together.
What I'm hearing you say is that this is just a daily tool that you can use. What it does is it gives you time and space to reconcile your heart with what happened and your heart with God before you bring it to your spouse. Instead of acting out of emotion, you're acting out of logic. That means that you're going to avoid a lot of unnecessary conflict. And by the time the conflict arises, you've prepared your heart and you're trusting that God has prepared your husband's heart to be able to work through it boldly.
Boldly and compassionately, yes.
Is there, I know you have a lot of these tools in your seminar. Would you be able to give one of these to the audience?
Yeah.
All right. So first one's free, guys. You know it. Jessica here, she's got this assessment tool for you. It's to to look at yourself first, look at your relationship with God, and then look to your spouse. And it breaks it down how you can use this. This is something that you can pin up in your closet. You can put on your refrigerator. Remember, this is something for you to use, not something for you to go to your spouse and say, here, you need to use this. Right? Which I know some of you are thinking that, but we're not doing that.
You know what's so funny? I did a podcast with your wife when you were gone, and I shared this tool with her. And you don't have to cut it. You can go back and look at the podcast. She says, Jessica, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm not going to give that much time. If there's something, she said, I realize, if I'm remembering, she realized her past of wanting to stand up for herself and protect herself. Like, no, like that instinct was like, no, that's too much time. And then she goes, but then the Lord was like, well, wouldn't you want him to do that for you?
Oh.
And she was like, I would be like, heck yeah, you do that. 24, 48, 72 hours, you do that. So it humbled her to realize, she was like, okay, so I'm going to do it too.
That's so fun.
Which is fun.
That is fun. So remember, these tools that we teach you guys, these are for you to work on yourself, not go fix everybody else. Okay. Once you get yourself dialed in, people are going to come to you and want help. You're not going to have to go seek them out. They will come to you wanting help, and then you can share these tools with them, and you're going to tell them the same thing. These tools are for you, not for you to go and use on other people. They're for you to use on yourself. And so I talked about this, the spheres of healing, when we were in Mexico this last time, something the Lord had put on my heart when I was in prayer the week before we left.
Yeah.
And so I spent all week building this out and teaching people about the 4 spheres of healing. And the first being yourself. Because I see so many veterans and civilians go through my program and they're on fire, like, oh, I want to go help everybody else. And then they burn themselves out.
Yeah.
And they damage relationships. And then like, well, this doesn't work because they didn't do the internal work on themselves first before they went to help other people. And, scripture says that. It says
repeatedly,
don't take the speck out of your brother's eye, remove the log from your own eye. It talks about this exact concept. Everything that I teach in my course is all based on a biblical principle that is validated by modern neuroscience and research. And this is just one more example of that right there.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Fascinating that the Bible, this historical document, is a living, breathing document that still applies today. And it explained things back then that they would never have the ability to understand because they don't have the technology.
Yeah.
Like we do now with advanced brain scan imaging. We can see how the brain operates, how it functions, all this research and data, and it's shared throughout the world. We're able to see that, oh my gosh, this book right here, the Bible, is true. And it can be validated time and time and time again. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So you guys know what we do here is we do 3 things. We educate you, empower you, and encourage you on your mental health journey. So we've taught you about how to be self-reflective in your marriage and what that does. Jess has empowered you guys with a really awesome tool that you can download right now at thefirstonesfree.com. You can download this tool and start using it today. And we want to encourage you to take the next step in your marriage journey. And so for some of you guys, that will look like signing up for Doc Jess's seminar. Now, it's a hybrid. You can do online or in person on this seminar. I want you guys to go to thefirstonesfree.com, get that free resource, and sign up for the next course and start to work on yourself. Do the inner work. It's so important for you guys to understand this. Jess, tell me a little bit about what can they expect when they show up for this course? Because a lot of times people don't know what to expect. So let's break down some of that fear and those barriers and what is it like?
Yeah, a lot of fears going to a marriage seminar is the fear of having to interact and throw your business out there.
Your dirty laundry, right?
Yeah. And that's why one reason people, especially men, don't like the idea of going to marriage counseling, which is why the seminar is such a great option for anyone who struggles with that fear to just sit and be an observer and take what you like and leave what you don't. And it's all grounded in biblical foundations, also confirmed by tons of research. that doesn't help you just fix a couple communication problems you might have to where you have to come back every 3-6 months, a year, once you fall back into those other bad habits that you used to have. It teaches you how to rebuild from the foundation up, how to rebuild that friendship, how to get back to your first love, how to get back to when everything your spouse did was kind of cute that is now annoying. And then how to rebuild from that foundation on a practical level with tons of tools and tons of support, so you can just intimately work with your spouse a little bit during the seminar and then take things home with you to continue to build on. Yeah, it reminds me really of what inspired my husband and I to put the seminar together. Is we had an amazing opportunity to go to a couples project odyssey through the Wounded Warrior Project, and it was a 5-day seminar actually, where they take you out of your environment, they teach you the Gottman principles and some marriage principles, and give you all the tools to go home and then rebuild from the foundation of the floors of friendship foundation up. And it transformed our marriage so much that we said we've got to share this with other people, right? That first sphere, we worked on ourselves and we're like, this is really good, really gold stuff, and it's really helping us on a foundational level. Let's share it with other people.
Thank you so much, Jess, for that little mini seminar and tool about how to invest in our marriage by investing in ourselves first. For the Mental Health Janitors, I'm Sgt Q.
I'm Doc Jess.
And we're out.